So across society, including on social media, blaming others has been a way of life in this country. Why are we so quick to point the fingers at others, and how is this actually impacting our society?
Yeah, so NBCLX storyteller talks with a psychologist about the rise in today's blaming culture and why we can't seem to really stop this behavior.
Interesting messaging. The president called it Putin's price hike, of course, laying the blame squarely on the person who started this war, Vladimir Putin.
Blame works as a way of deflecting those unwanted feelings onto ourselves.
Hey, don't blame the pollsters, blame our founding fathers.
By the end of this evening, I'm going to be blamed for everything.
AB to blame.
All right, so there is just so much that is happening, and I just have to delete the noise. Here's what we should be afraid of. Here is to blame for it. At one moment, we're blaming a leader. The next moment, it is technology, it's weather, it's traffic. There is so much noise that is happening that is just overwhelming and hard to keep up. I've even gotten caught up in this myself, blaming my wife recently for throwing away an important piece of paper that honestly I should have taken care of months ago. But why do we blame? And at what expense?
Blame is just an easy way that comes up very automatically for all of us, pretty much, to release that uncomfortable distress.
Blame becomes automatic in some scenarios. This stems from fear or protecting one's ego.
It's all about protecting my ego. If I can convince myself that I'm all good, and in fact, you're the person that's all bad, then I feel better about myself. There is really good research that shows that, blaming is criticism, and we don't respond well to criticism. Blame is really about not taking accountability and, again, pushing things out externally.
Work environments are another common place for this, a good example of fear meeting the ego.
When they're in the workplace, it wasn't me, it was my coworker's fault, or my boss is racist. And it causes people never to look at themselves, right? How can we grow emotionally as people? How can we improve as a society if we're not willing to look at ourselves?
Wow, that's really interesting.
That's such a fascinating conversation, and I love this because I've really been exploring just on my own time kind of how do we escape shame?
Right.
And so what we've been talking about, you and I, the two words, accountability and empathy, we've really been focusing on those. And I feel like exactly what they said, we place blame on other people too, because out of fear for ourselves, out of protection for ourselves. But they also were talking about that, that people think they feel better when they do that they clear their name of it. I actually feel worse if I blame somebody, especially if I know, I could have maybe done something different. And I gotta say, man, it has been a game changer to first be like, what could I have done differently? And then let me bring that to the conversation to try to figure out some solution here. And there's always some kind of productivity out of that.
Yeah, I found in the last couple of years, right, everything that was going on around us, always trying to figure out why was it happening. And I caught myself pointing the fingers at people. And then finally I was like, well, this is really negative and this is really unhealthy.
And not productive.
It's not. And I'm trying to just understand where people come from, listen to them a little bit more before I'm immediately saying you're wrong, I'm right, and you're right. It brings the stress level down. It opens up a conversation and people just get along better.
Well, it also just becomes a collaboration between whoever is involved and, hey, how can we make this better? Also, nothing good comes out of blaming people. Because then everybody goes on the defensive. Nobody wants to take ownership of this. There's just nothing good there. So my advice to myself, to all of us, is whenever there's a situation, first, what could I have done differently? Is there a way I could have prevented that from happening? So yes, I'm not happy with what you did. Can I adjust my actions to maybe prevent even putting you in that situation to maybe disappoint me or let me down like that again?
It was also fun to see Cody, who used to work with us.
Yes, our former colleague, Cody Broadway. Wonderful to see him as well.